No one saw it coming. Not the fans, not the reporters, not even those closest to them. For weeks, quiet whispers danced across the internet about Song Hye-kyo and LeeMinHo growing closer. They were seen at events together, smiling at each other a little too long, laughing at private jokes only they seemed to understand. Their chemistry was impossible to ignore. People began to wonder whether something deeper was happening behind the scenes. But before any hope could take root, everything dissolved in a single quiet moment. Song Hye-kyo walked away. It happened in a private setting far from cameras, yet the story spread like wildfire. The two met outdoors one late afternoon, at a peaceful spot near a small cafe that overlooked the river. At first, observers thought it was just another friendly meeting. LeeMinHo arrived early, dressed casually, hands tucked into his pockets. He looked nervous, pacing slowly as though rehearsing his words. Then Song Hye-kyo arrived, elegance wrapped in simplicity, her expression calm, too calm. They sat together at a corner table, trying to blend into the soft hum of conversation around them. At first, the atmosphere seemed warm. They spoke softly, leaning close so no one could overhear. But slowly, the tone shifted. LeeMinHo's posture changed, shoulders tense, eyes uncertain. Song Hye-kyo kept her gaze steady, not angry, just resolute. Whatever they were discussing was not easy. Minutes passed. Then she stood up. Her movements were gentle, but there was finality in them. She placed her scarf over her shoulder, thanked him quietly, and with a small bow, she walked away. No tears. No drama. Just a calm goodbye that cut deeper than any shouting match ever could. LeeMinHo remained seated, staring at the empty space where she had stood only seconds before. He didn't chase after her. His head lowered, hands clasped tightly as though holding on to something only he could feel slipping through his fingers. Witnesses later said the moment felt like watching two parallel worlds drift further apart, close enough to touch, but never meant to stay entwined. Rumors erupted immediately. Some said they had begun exploring a deeper relationship that recently fell apart. Others claimed LeeMinHo confessed feelings that Song Hye-kyo wasn't ready to return. Another version suggested that she ended things before they could begin, choosing peace over risk. Both stayed silent at first. But silence is loud when the whole world is listening. People on social media speculated endlessly. Was it timing? Was it pressure? Or was it simply fate twisting the story before it could unfold? Fans on both sides expressed heartbreak and confusion. Videos circulated, edits, theories, slow-motion clips of every glance they'd ever shared. Some fans refused to let go of the idea that their paths would eventually cross again. Others accepted the quiet ending and simply wished them peace. Let's rewind. Song Hye-kyo, graceful, experienced, someone who has lived through the highs and lows of love under a spotlight. She has learned the hard way that public attention can turn affection into pressure. That every smile gets judged, every silence, questioned. She does not take chances lightly. People close to her say she values emotional stability more than the thrill of a new connection. LeeMinHo, on the other hand, is bold. Brilliant. He carries his feelings earnestly, wearing his heart on the edge of his sleeve. When he connects with someone, he doesn't do it halfway. His sincerity is one of the reasons fans love him, but it is also what makes him vulnerable. Their differences were captivating. Opposites that balanced each other. Until they didn't. Speculation continued to grow after their cafe meeting. One entertainment insider suggested that LeeMinHo was ready to pursue something serious, while Song Hye-kyo wanted to protect her peace. Another said she had just begun to discover herself again, emotionally, personally, and wasn't ready to open her heart so quickly. It wasn't anger. It wasn't betrayal. It was timing. It was life. Even so, walking away sounded simple only to those who weren't in their shoes. For Song Hye-kyo, it took strength. She cared, anyone who saw them together knew that. But she also understood that love is not just about butterflies, it's about readiness. And sometimes, the bravest act is not holding on, but letting go before either person gets hurt. LeeMinHo remained quiet publicly, but insiders say he struggled afterward. He respected her decision deeply, even while hurting. He reportedly took a step back from social gatherings for a while, choosing to spend time with close friends and family, working through his emotions quietly. Song Hye-kyo, meanwhile, focused on her projects and personal life. She kept a low profile, appearing calm, composed. But those closest to her say she felt the weight of the moment heavily. Walking away looked graceful on the outside, but inside, it took everything she had. Weeks later, both stars appeared at separate public events. When asked about each other, neither spoke negatively. No bitterness. No accusations. Just respectful silence. Sometimes, silence is the kindest answer. Fans began to accept that maybe this wasn't a breakup. It was simply a chapter that never fully opened. A moment between two lives that weren't aligned at the right time. A story that wasn't meant to become more. At least for now. But destiny has its own way of weaving people together again. Insiders revealed that neither cut ties completely. There was no dramatic ending, just space. Space for both to grow, heal, and reflect. Some believe that leaving the door open, even slightly, means there is still possibility. Not expectation, but possibility. And sometimes, that is enough. In truth, Song Hye-kyo walking away wasn't a tragedy. It was a quiet decision made from strength, clarity, and emotional honesty. It showed maturity rather than fear. She chose peace over uncertainty. She chose to protect both hearts rather than gamble with them. LeeMinHo respected that choice. Even when it hurt. Their story now sits in a delicate space. Unfinished, unruined, simply paused. Fans continue to wonder if their paths will cross again in a different season. Maybe someday, timing will be kinder. Maybe someday, their steps will align. Or maybe their story was meant to be exactly this. A beautiful almost. A soft echo of what could have been. Either way, their quiet moment at that riverside cafe became more than just a rumor. It became a reminder to everyone watching that sometimes the most powerful endings are not loud, explosive, or tragic, but gentle. Sometimes, the most meaningful love stories are the ones that never quite begin. For now, they walk separate ways. Two stars under the same sky. Still shining. Just apart.